Well, tinker time on location. And what are we working on today? This. This is Ron. This is a Honda Pilot. And that's going to be what we're working on today. Stick around. I'll show you how we do it. Or what we're doing. God help us. Okay, so what we have here is a 2012 Honda Pilot, and we've got a brake light, ABS light, traction control light, which means we got a bad wheel speed sensor, which I believe is what this wire up here is. And obviously we gotta do a brake job too. And because we don't know the maintenance history of this vehicle, the two screws that hold the rotor on were jammed up good and solid. So I had to drill the heads out. That was fun. Next, we're gonna take out the two 17mm bolts top and bottom, compress the caliper, take rotor off, take the pads off. I'll give you a still shot of this all disassembled, and then I'll go over the wiring for that, which is actually not that bad. These are actually not terrible until you get to these, which just suck. Anyway, sit tight, we'll get that all out.
A few moments later.
All right, so this is just loosely hanging here for now because what I want to do while I'm waiting on new screws, because we're gonna do this the right way, is we're gonna replace this wheel speed sensor. There is this clip that goes right under here, and then this connector just pulls down. You unplug it from here, and then you take this 10mm off here, and that 10mm off right there, wiggle the sensor out, stick the new one in, plug it in, boom, new wheel speed sensor. That's what originally we've started doing this project for because of his traction control and ABS and brake light. So we're gonna change all four because we found a kit for 60 bucks. Changing them all out. And then once I get back to here, new pads, new clips, those are all right there. I'll give you a still shot of that all together too. Now's a good idea to go ahead and make sure you use anti-seize when you put the new screws in too, because then you don't have to drill them out like I had to do. Anyway, sit tight, we'll swap this out and I'll show you the new ones.
12 seconds later.
Well, okay, so the owner of this vehicle can't get the screws, which is not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. I got the brakes on. One addendum. There is a third 10mm bolt here for the bracket for the sensor. So one up there, one there, one down there. So it's 3 total. And then this has a little jiggle to it because I haven't hit the brakes yet. And also once I bolt the wheel on, this will all clamp in place anyway. And you gotta remember, most cars didn't have these in the beginning anyway, so it's not a big deal. Like I remember Chryslers from the 50s, they just had dowel pins here and you just slid them over. So this isn't the end of the world. The owner will get a to-do list to get 8 of these and a tube of anti-seize when he can find them, because apparently all the locals don't have it. But I changed the brackets, the slides, pads, and the sensors on this front one. And when I meet you back, we'll work on the rear. So we'll see you in a bit. This is actually, minus these stupid tapered screws, this whole job here was only like a 2 Samuel L. But because of these stupid screws, 5 Samuel L. This is well, that Anyway, we'll see you in a bit when I get this all put back together, and I'll meet you at the rear. Obviously, the installation on the opposing side is exactly the same.
More moments later.
All right, here we are at the rear. And as you can see, I've taken some of this apart already so I can inspect the brakes. This is the parking brake. Really nice thing is these calipers are the squeeze-in kind, not the screw-in kind, because it has these kinds of parking brakes, which is great. Let me tell you something. I've just become a convert for this impact driver because it got those tapered screws out with no effort. So I'm gonna buy one of these. Anyway, the speed sensor is over here on the forward face, and the connector goes through there and around up there. So again, it's a couple of 10mm bolts, one plug, not a big deal. I'll show you this all put back together. Caliper bolts, 12mm. Bracket bolts, 17s. So there's really nothing to it. Honestly, now that those little tapered bolts came out, 2 Samuel L. job, not a big deal. I'll show you a couple of still shots with this all back together.
20 minutes later.
This is the rear, all complete. New pads, new rails, new rotors, all anti-seized in. Got to keep the screws this time because the right tool does the job. And the sensor's all wired in, as you can see here. Total toughness of this job for the rear, 2 Samuel L's. Anyway, I have to make nice and be sociable because these guys here are watching me do this, and I need to finish the other side. So thanks for watching. Total job, 3 Samuel L's for the whole thing. But front, if you have to drill these screws, 5 Samuel L's. This, 2. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlist, see if my other interests are of interest to you. That's it for this Tinkers video on location. I don't know how many more on locations I'm gonna do, but it was fun. Anyway, we'll see you later.
The boy does have good hands.
Good act. Bad taste in cars. Mother